Good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for Sunday. Today is July the 3rd, and we are beginning a new read through the Old Testament prophet Hosea, part of the minor prophets. Hosea chapter 1 is on the schedule for today, and also 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Hosea 1, 1 Corinthians 12 are on the schedule for today. Let's go ahead and get those up on the screen, at least Hosea. Let's get Hosea up on the screen, and we'll get to reading here in just a second. Just a couple of things to keep in mind about Hosea. Hosea wrote to the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom referred to as Israel, although within this text, it'll be referred to at some points as Ephraim, but that is referring to the northern kingdom of Israel. This would have been about 200 years after the dividing of the kingdoms, the dividing of whole Israel into the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. The king at the time would have been Jeroboam II, very evil, wicked king. And this would cover about 25 years. Hosea's prophetic ministry would have been about 25 years in scope. The Lord is letting the people know through Hosea that judgment is coming, and judgment is going to come at the hands of the Assyrians. And within this text, the Lord is going to let Israel know through Hosea the reasoning for the punishment, the reasoning for Assyria coming against them and having success. So let's read that here in Hosea chapter 1. This first chapter is going to give us a very, maybe to us, a very strange thing for the Lord to say. And yet the Lord is instructing Hosea to marry this particular woman because he wants to illustrate to Hosea and really and truly make it real to Hosea what it's like to be married to someone who ought to honor you through faithfulness, but completely dishonors you through unfaithfulness and unfaithfulness to a covenant, especially. So let's notice this here in Hosea chapter 1, beginning in verse number 1. Hosea chapter 1 in verse number 1. The word of the Lord came to Hosea, son of Eri, during the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, the kings of Judah, and of Jeroboam, son of Jehoash, king of Israel. When the Lord first spoke to Hosea, he said to him, go, and here's the weird part, go and marry a woman of promiscuity and have children of promiscuity, for the land is committing blatant acts of promiscuity by abandoning the Lord. So Hosea went and married Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. Then the Lord said to him, name him Jezreel, for in a little while I will bring the bloodshed of Jezreel on the house of Jehu, and put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. On that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. She conceived again and gave birth to a daughter, and the Lord named him and the Lord said to him, name her Rahama, for I will no longer have compassion on the house of Israel. I will certainly take them away, but I will have compassion on the house of Judah, and I will deliver them by the Lord their God. I will not deliver them by bow, sword, or war, or by horses and cavalry. After Gomer had weaned Rahama, she conceived and gave birth to a son. Then the Lord said, name him Lo-Ami, for you are not my people, and I will not be your God. Yet the number of the Israelites will be like the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or counted. In the place where they were told, you are not my people, they will be called sons of the living God. The Judeans and the Israelites will be gathered together. They will appoint for themselves a single ruler who will go up from the land, for the day of Jezreel will be great. Hosea chapter 1. Now you probably caught it, coming to understand exactly why the Lord would tell Hosea to go and marry a woman of promiscuity, because he wanted Hosea to understand exactly what it felt like for one whom you had been wedded to, or one whom you made a covenant with, to completely go against that covenant, to cheat on you, and to be promiscuous. Now, I don't know if this was something that Gomer had done prior to marrying Hosea, or if this was the way in which Gomer acted following the marriage to Hosea. I'd probably guess it's my guess is that this was her behavior before and after. Again, for Hosea really to understand this. And yet there's 3 children that are given to Gomer. Now, I wonder, this is pure speculation, I wonder if these are even Hosea's kids. I wonder if these belong to him or not. Of course, the names themselves, Jezreel, meaning God sows, and then lo ruhama, no compassion, and then lo ami, not my people. Those all have these names about them. And what is it that God is sowing? Well, God is sowing a lack of compassion. God is sowing the understanding that they are not his people. Why is that? Well, because the people had committed spiritual adultery against God, and he was going to punish them for that. He says, I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. And yet, at the very end of the text, and again, probably not a great chapter break here. Chapter 2, verse 1, probably do better here. Call your brothers my people and your sisters compassion. But there at the end, verses 10 and 11, there's that little glimmer of hope. That little glimmer of hope that in the future things will get better, that the Judeans and the Israelites will be gathered together. They will be gathered together. Well, as much as we would hope that the message of Hosea from this point forward would be good in its entirety, it's just not. Chapters 1 through 3 are going to focus on the unfaithfulness of Israel to God from a spiritual perspective. So we'll note that as we read through the text again tomorrow here in Hosea chapter 2. But here in Hosea 1, again, just setting the scene, and the scene, unfortunately, is not a good one. Spiritual adultery is amok. Their faithfulness to idols and paganism is much stronger than their faithfulness to God. And the Lord is going to let them know that through the mouth of Hosea. We see that here in Hosea 1, and we'll continue to see that as we make our way through the book of Hosea of the minor prophets. Hosea chapter 1. All right, so let's go ahead and flip on over to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. As you see here, the subheading, the theme is going to be spiritual gifts and the usage of such, and just be able to understand how these played a role within the church of the first century. Now, I appreciate Paul as he begins here in what we know is chapter 12. He just lets them know, hey, this one when we talk about. So concerning spiritual gifts, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be unaware. You know that when you were pagans, you used to be enticed and led astray by mute idols. Therefore, I want you to know that no one speaking by the Spirit of God says Jesus is cursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. Now, there are different gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different ministries, but the same Lord. And there are different activities, but the same God produces each gift in each person. A manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person for the common good. To one is given a message of wisdom through the Spirit, to another a message of knowledge by the Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, to another the performing of miracles, to another prophecy, to another distinguishing between spirits, and to another different kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. One and the same Spirit is active in all of these, distributing to each person as he wills. 4, verse number 12, for just as the body is one and has many members, and all the parts of that body, though many, are one body, so also is Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and we were all given one Spirit to drink. Indeed, the body is not one part, but many. And if the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I don't belong to the body, it is not for that reason any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I don't belong to the body, it is not for that reason any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? Or where would the sense of smell be? But as it is, God has arranged each one of the parts in the body just as he wanted. And if they were all the same parts, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. Or again, the head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. On the contrary, those parts of the body that are weaker are indispensable. And those parts of the body that we consider less honorable, we clothe these with greater honor. And our unrespectable parts are treated with greater respect, which our respectable parts do not need. Instead, God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the less honorable, so that there would be no division in the body, but that the members would have the same concern for each other. If one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. And if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Christ, and if individual members of it. And God has appointed these in the church: first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, next miracles, then gifts of healing, helping, administrating various kinds of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all do miracles? Do all have gifts of healing? Do all speak in other tongues? Do all interpret? But desire the greater gifts, and I will show you an even better way. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Now, of course, the subject matter here is the gifts that are present within this church, and the issue we're going to see and we can understand taking place here is an attitude of pride and arrogance based upon somebody having the greater gift. And the encouragement, or not the encouragement, really, the admonition of Paul here to these brothers and sisters in Corinth is that they recognize that, hey, you're all necessary. You're all needed. You each play a function within your local church, which helps the church to thrive and to grow. And if anyone is not doing their part, then guess what? The church is going to suffer. So I want to ask everyone listening today, are you doing what is necessary to help the church thrive, given the types of abilities and talents that you have? Are you using your abilities to serve the Lord and to serve the church? You might say, well, Nick, I'm just not all that great at anything. I can't do this or I can't do that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But what can you do? I think we sometimes get so distracted by what we can't do that we fail to recognize what we can do. That's a very negative mindset. I don't think that's a mindset we should have. We should not have this negative mindset of what can't I do? Instead, we need to be proactive. We need to be positive, thinking, what can I do to help my local church? What can I do to help my spiritual family? What can I do to help my brothers and sisters? Do we have our eyes open, and are we attuned? Are we tuned in to the needs of the church, so we can figure out, hey, you know what? I can't do a lot, but you know what I can do? I am great at writing a note of encouragement. Or you know what? I see that light bulb out there. I can change that. Or I see that this bathroom over here needs something. I could put that in there. Or, you know, I saw a little bit of mess on the floor over there. I could go pick that up. There is always something each of us can be doing. And if we truly love the Lord, we really love his people, and we really want the church to thrive, then we will use whatever abilities we have to God's glory and to the benefit of the others we are worshiping and serving and laboring with. So think today, what can I do? My question is, what can I do to help serve my church family today? And really, this is a question that we would do well to ask ourselves continually. What can I do to help? Thanks so much for tuning in to this daily Bible reading. Looking forward to being with everybody here in just a little bit as we gather together for Bible classes and for our worship assembly. I'll be looking forward to studying together with you from 2 Samuel, thinking about the story of David and Bathsheba, and how we learn from David how to overcome grievous sin and its consequences. We'll be talking about that today, and looking forward to learning and to being encouraged and admonished by the inspired scriptures. Again, thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your Lord's Day. God bless.